Hello and welcome to the No Flipping Excuses Show, the only podcast in real estate investing that teaches what you need to know to find and flip deals right now. Wow. Break free the chains that are holding you back and join us on this episode with Jason Lucchese.
Hey, what's up? It's Jason Lucchese with the No Flipping Excuses Show. I am super excited that you are here with us today. I've got a really awesome guest with us in the house. He is joining us, and I am just so excited that I reached out to his staff, and we were able to get some things worked up and on the schedule. And I've been following this guy for years, and he's really an awesome dude. I've been following his videos and stuff, and it's really cool that I get to have him on the show and get to talk to him and stuff. But you know, he's got a really awesome story that I don't think a lot of people know. Maybe in the community, like of, you know, basketball and street ball, you know, a lot of folks may know it, but I didn't know it. And I've been following this guy for years, and his story is so inspiring. So I wanted to get him on here. And without further ado, I want to introduce to you Grayson Boucher. Grayson, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. And for people that don't know, this is the professor. If you don't know, I don't do the enunciation like the dude that was following you around on the basketball court, but I'm trying to do my best, man. That dude, he's a great MC. He would be right behind you, and he'd be doing some crazy MC work.
Oh, Dutango was a beast, man. Best to ever do it.
I love that guy. He'd always be saying baby.
Oh, baby, that's his signature.
Yeah. Love it. So I've got the professor with us, Grayson. So man, for people that don't know you, and obviously Grayson's doing some crazy stuff on YouTube. He's become a social media icon, you know, over 500 million views. You've got close to 4 million subscribers as the time we're doing this. That is some impressive stuff, dude. So, you know, for people that don't know the behind the scenes stuff, the Grayson that, you know, before you got on to And1, why don't we talk a little bit about that, man? Kind of give your backstory and stuff.
Definitely. Originally, I'm from Kaiser, Oregon, small town in Oregon, about an hour south from Portland. Loved basketball. My dad put me on the game when I was 2 years old. His passion for the game wore off on me almost instantly. By about 5th grade, I knew I wanted to play the game professionally. Started working with a dribbling trainer, a trainer who taught me, it's like a skill development trainer. And he taught me a lot of my foundational moves that would help me become a great ball handler. So he taught me the Allen Iverson crossover. He taught me in and out, crossovers, all that. And a lot of that was really foundational. I ended up, you know, practicing 4 to 8 hours a day, pretty much my whole childhood.
Wow.
And I was a fan of Michael Jordan, Allen Iverson, and then also the And1 Mixtape tour, which was like this traveling street ball exhibition tour, went all the way around the world. And for non-basketball people, it'd be like the Harlem Globetrotters with no script. That would be the way you describe it. So they would play these tour exhibitions worldwide, and they happened to come to Portland, Oregon. And I had only played 1 year of junior college at that point. And I just went up there and kind of tried out. They were having a nationwide contest featured on ESPN to try to find their next member of the team. And things really went in my favor. And at the end of that season, 18 years old, I got a contract to play professionally.
That's awesome.
And that birthed my street ball career.
Yeah, man. I remember following that season. I think I graduated high school in 2001. So I remember watching that show and, you know, I've been playing basketball for years, never obviously got to the level that you're at, but man, I was watching, and when I first saw you get on the scene, I was like, wow, he is really good, man. He's quick. He's got some dribbling I've never seen before. And, it's crazy. So for people that don't know, you were on this And1 tour for, you know, many seasons. And then all of a sudden, you know, I was checking out your TED Talk, and then I was even wondering what happened. Like all of a sudden, like no more And1, because it would always be playing like this in the summer. So I was like, what happened? You know, it just all of a sudden it clicked like maybe a few years after it wasn't on the air anymore. So what happened to you at that point? What happened? All of a sudden you're on this high, you're traveling around, you're doing all these expedition games all over the country and over the world is right? Mm-hmm. Over the world. So let's talk about that, dude. What happened when all of a sudden just, contract doesn't happen anymore?
Yeah, good question. And, nobody's really addressed it publicly that was a part of the tour either because they didn't have the platform to reach the people or, we still knew And1's an existing company. You don't want to step on toes and offend.
Right.
But basically what had happened was it went for 6 seasons on ESPN, or I was on there for 6 seasons. I think it started 2002. I got on there 2003, and it went until 2008 on ESPN. But what a lot of people don't know is early 2006, there was actually a buyout. Okay. And And1 went public. And they actually had new ownership. And the company was bought for a big amount of money, but it got in the hands of some people who, from my knowledge, really didn't know much about basketball, period. They bought it because on paper, obviously, the And1 sales and everything looked amazing, right?
Right.
Well, what they did was they started making the clothes in their factories, but they were known for making men's dress wear. So that's totally different than athletic wear, right?
Right.
So immediately the quality of the clothes was way less. Then they used different distribution. So it's no longer in Foot Locker, Foot Action, Eastbay, none of their mainstream retailers anymore. So next thing you know, it's at like JCPenney, Big Five, where all the cool kids aren't going to shop, right?
Right.
So cool kids. So immediately it was like out of the mainstream. And then they still did the tour for a few more years because from what I was told, they still had a contract with a production company to fulfill it, or they decided to keep it going because they figured it was somewhat relevant.
Right.
But they put way less money into it. So 2005, we did a domestic tour, 35 cities. And then we went to Asia and did 10 cities. And then went to Europe and did 10 cities. We did some South America. So that was like a huge year.
Yeah.
That was probably the peak. Then in 2006, I think we did a domestic tour and like 1 or 2 overseas dates. By the time 2007 came, we only did 10 games in the US and 1 or 2 international. And then we repeated that in 2008. And then after 2008, we just didn't even get a call to re-up our contracts or anything. And so it was to a point where the public didn't push And1 away. They took, it got taken off because of new ownership. It's just like in a team, you get a new coach, they run things totally different.
Right.
But I think what those people didn't understand is the people who they brought in for branding and the new ownership didn't understand the brand was built off street ball.
Right.
So going away from your bread and butter didn't make any sense, but they were looking at these other brands and saying, oh, everybody else markets the NBA. We'll just do that. But it was tough,
Yeah, for sure. I could see that being like a point for somebody, around that time, 2008, the recession hit and people were getting laid off left and right. Like I was one of those people. I was doing really well in the mortgage industry, and obviously the mortgage industry collapsed. And like when it happened with you, it was almost kind of like it happened not only with, just what happened with that particular company, but it happened across the whole entire country. And here you are, you know, everybody knows you as the professor. And now you're like, what do I do now? I don't have this contract. And, you just kind of almost had to reinvent yourself and have you needed to make money. You needed to obviously eat, have a place to stay. So what happened to Grayson at this point? Like what did you do to kind of hop back on, the train there and get yourself, back on top? Because you've got an amazing brand right now. And, that doesn't just happen from, hey, I'm going to not take action. I'm just going to sit here and feel sorry for myself. Yeah.
So I was basically left in sort of a, situation. It's like, what's next? You know what I mean? Because that's ESPN, And1, that's long gone. And I thought it was going to be around forever. That was my young mind thinking. But, so it was back to the drawing board. I went completely broke, had no opportunity. Nobody was talking about street ball. I remember even by the time 2009 rolled around, it really taught me a life lesson that if you're in the public eye and then you go away from the public eye, people will forget you like this, And it's one thing if you're an icon, right? Like if you're a mainstream icon, they might keep you within memory, right? But even then, it's tough. So like for me, you know, being a, you know, C-list, B-list celebrity at the time, whatever you would, you know, label that as, people forgot me immediately. I remember even going to some basketball events in late 2009, early 2010, and they'd be like, hey, only one or two people would say something to me, and they'd say like, weren't you a part of some basketball thing, like some tournament I saw? And I was just like, yeah, you know what I mean? So it was a trip because, I mean, even 2007 and 8, you know, the show ran on ESPN 4 to 5 times a week and reran year round.
Oh, wow.
So like everywhere I would go was nonstop. Can I get a picture? Boop, boop, boop. Say hi to my son. Da, da, da. So to go immediately, we're not known. It was a big hit to my pride and ego and all that. So anyway, back to the drawing board. I remember what I did was I was setting up shop to kind of like become a trainer. I was like, a lot of people want to know how I got my dribbling skills the way it was. And they were still, it's not like I had no following overnight. There's still some people that wanted training. So
Sure.
To me, that seemed like the natural fit, but that was hard to jumpstart too. So I remember I went back to the drawing board, did a bunch of like free clinics around LA, tried to get a bunch of content, and then started my YouTube channel.
Yep.
And so when I started the channel, I had a game that we played in Brazil, like late 2008. I threw that on there as my first video. I threw some training content on there to try to start that up. And then I started getting one-off calls from international And1 companies. So And1 was in 40 countries. And just because the U.S. rerouted these international, they were like, well, we still wanted to market the tour. That's how we ran our whole brand.
Right.
And a lot of people who licensed it out, they knew why And1 was the bread and butter because they were affiliated with the old camp. So
right.
For about 2 or 3 years, I would fly out and play these one-off And1 games. And there was a lady by the name of Linda Hill. She was orchestrating a lot of that. Really cool people. And she kind of kept me afloat. So I was still touring, but it was like month to month, right? Like we'd have a game and I'd make a nice chunk of change and then don't have a game for 3 months, then have 2 games, then another 4 months. So it's really hard to make ends meet. At one point, I had less than $100 in my account and I sold 50 to 75 like eBay jerseys, And1 jerseys that I had kept for myself. Like over the years, I don't even know why I kept them. Sold them all on eBay anonymously. And I think that helped me for about an 8-month stretch where I was really hurting. I actually lived off those, the funds from those jerseys. And then we came to a place in 2009 where somebody, a tour actually tried to pick up where everyone left off and gave us like a solid 1-year deal. But this whole time I had been uploading content. Whenever I had a game, throw it on YouTube. And like, I wasn't considering myself a YouTuber at that point. It was just to hopefully get more bookings.
Right.
But, you know, eventually we got into, you know, a solid contract situation. And then 2013, a couple viral videos, and it was a game changer.
Yeah, I know. I heard here in your TED Talk. I'm curious, like, what came up with the idea, the whole SpiderMan thing? That when I first saw it, I didn't know it was you. I remember it went viral and it was all over the place. But I'm like, you know, that style looks really familiar. I'm like, who is this guy? So it took me a while. So how did you come up with the whole idea? Like, I know you talk about was it you and your friend came up with the idea, like, hey, let's give this a shot, see what happens. But how did that whole come up with the whole SpiderMan idea?
So what happened was I had got to a point on YouTube where I had like 30 to 50,000 subs. I can't remember the exact number. So things are going pretty well, right? But this was just like slow growth traction.
Yeah.
My biggest video had 500,000 views, and then like the rest of the channel was 100K and below. And so we're like, hey, there's some potential here, right? So my friend who was really into, he was just like good at, like, he's like good at everything. Like does a little bit of photography, a little bit of videography, the dude's a shoe customizer, just knows a lot about culture, right?
Nice.
So we were talking about YouTube and we're like, what can we do to go viral? You know, but how can we make it family friendly? Like I'm Christian, so we wanted to keep the values, right? A lot of the videos we would watch would be like somebody getting hurt or some prank or something that was like not family friendly. So it's kind of tough, but he was up on cosplay and he was telling me like, hey, this cosplay thing is huge on the internet. Like Comic-Con is the biggest thing ever. And so I'm like, okay, I didn't know much about it. I was like, I've seen Batman and Spider-Man in the mainstream movies. But that's it. So he was like, you know, it'd be super funny. He's like, I think this would be a good video for you. He said, if you dress up as a superhero and go play people one-on-one, prank style. And I was like, that would be like, to me, it was just a funny idea, right? I couldn't even fathom doing that because I just felt like it'd be so like nerdy and loony, right? So naturally we picked the outfit of Spider-Man because it covered every part of the body and we feel like my body type would fit that, right?
Right.
So we agreed we were going to do it. And then like, we didn't get around to it like a couple months later because I was touring and stuff.
Right.
But in the meantime, I happened to order a Spider-Man suit. And funny enough, Marvel and the costume makers, they don't make them, unless you get a custom made replica, they don't make costumes that actually fit people. They don't want you to look exactly like the movie, right? They're usually like baggy. So I found one costume in the UK. It was actually a size medium. Usually they're XL or 2X.
Right.
It's on the shelves. So I found a size medium, and it came and it fit me like a glove. It looked like it was made for me. So I was tripped out by that, right? I was like, it must be meant to be. So we go to the court, and we shoot this video one day. Like, he goes out there and acts like he's not with me, and then I come up. I get into a game of King of the Court, and for some reason, I only played for 20 minutes, but every move worked. Like didn't miss a shot. All my tricks worked. Not that the competition was super high, but it was still like scrappy dudes or whatever.
Right.
Came back. I edited it, uploaded it one evening, and then like I had an early flight the next day. And at that time, you couldn't upload a YouTube video. Your exports weren't great. So if you filmed on a DSLR, it was going to take hours to upload. Yeah. So I uploaded it. It said like 6 hours. I'm like, I'm tired. I got a flight in the morning. I woke up in the morning to go to Chicago, still uploading. So I was like, screw it. I'm going to leave it on, take off. By the time I got to the airport at LAX, I already had 100K views. And I had to like double take on my phone. I was like, is this right? This must be an error. And then by the time I got to Chicago, it already had like 3 million views. Wow. And then by the end of the week, it was like 7 million. So, jeez. So that was like the birth of my, of me taking YouTube serious. I was like, once I saw that, it's like, okay, I should be an influencer, not only just a street ball event player. You know what I mean?
Right. No, absolutely. So one of the things that, maybe some people aren't going to catch, but what I heard you say like in the beginning is, in order for you to get to the level that you're at now, you were practicing, you said, for 4 to 8 hours a day, right? Yeah. So one of the things I'm trying to translate into business from you saying that, it's pretty much goes hand in hand. Wouldn't you agree? Like if somebody wants to, make it equivalent from the business side, and obviously you're doing that right now with your YouTube, is you've got to put in the time. It takes, repetition. A lot of the, most successful people in the world, man, woman, whoever it is, they had to sacrifice in order to get to where they're at right now. And you noticed that at a very, very young age. Like I considered myself a decent basketball player, but I wasn't practicing 48 hours a day. Maybe the results would have been different for me if I would have. But what do you like? Talk about your work ethic a little bit. Like, let's just go over just like a random day with Grayson, because I know obviously you're gonna relax, you're gonna take it easy, but let's go through like a normal work day for Grayson, and what does that typically look like?
So today.
Well, whatever day you want to feel like you want to discuss.
Gotcha. So okay. I don't want to be a person who exaggerates. I would say in school, during school times, like when I was growing up, I practiced about 2 to 8 hours a day. That's probably more accurate because on a school day, sometimes you got homework. You may even have some event you had to go to or whatever. So you're only going to get in what you can. So sometimes it'd be like 2 hours, but it was like 2 hours at the minimum, right? Because even if I only got an hour at the actual gym, I come home and the driveway was like my second home, right?
Sure.
I literally practice at least 2 hours a day. But weekends, it would be long hours. And then summertime, it's like ball is life, literally, right?
Right.
So yeah, the time investment's big. And I think to tack on to what you said, how does it apply to your business? Like for sure, you made 2 great points. For anybody to get great or have any success rate at anything, you're going to have to sacrifice something else. And usually it's like hanging out with friends and partying or doing stuff that are a little bit, they're not completely unnecessary actually in the big picture. And so for me, my sacrifice, I did it on accident, right? Because I just love basketball, but I didn't hang out as much. I never had a girlfriend in high school. I didn't go to the parties. I wouldn't hang with the cool kids. I really just played ball, and it ended up paying off a lot. So I think sacrifice is big. And then, like you said, the time investment. There's always, people always tell me, what does it take to get to where I'm at? And I said, one of the main things I always say is you got to put in the time.
Sure.
I mean, there's a lot of variables of how you train. What are you going to try to get good at? How do you shoot? That's all like up in the air. There's a bunch of different ways. So you can't negate the time investment for sure. So typical day for me. I try to get in here anywhere between 8 to 10 a.m. and I tack out. Actually, I take that back. Usually try to get a workout in the morning, some sort of whether it's a run, whether it's shoot around for an hour or whatever.
Yeah.
Get to the office by 8 to 10, handling meetings, emails. I'm going through stuff with Ray, my partner. He's a beast. He keeps me on point, a lot of stuff. And it could be anything. That day we could have a video shoot where we're heading out to go shoot something. We could be going to play ball. I could be filming a tutorial. But I'm usually in here long hours. Like sometimes I don't leave till like 10 p.m., right? Got in here 8 to 10, don't leave till 10 p.m. Like that happens often.
Yeah.
And then other times, my day could be different. I could be touring and it's a totally different get down, right? But for the most part, I put in long hours at the office, but I enjoy it though. That's the thing. It's like my passion. So
you love it.
Sometimes I overwork because it's like, it doesn't feel completely like work.
Right.
But on a normal day, I would like to leave about 6 or 7, go home, relax.
Sure. In
the evening. But so my day kind of varies because it's not standard every day.
Yeah, and some of the people that we come across, because we obviously help folks out that are looking to get into real estate investing. They're wanting to gain that freedom, and a lot of folks, they don't understand, like, cut out the TV, maybe, for sacrifice for like 6 months, 7 months to get yourself where you want to be. Sacrifice, going out for the dinners and stuff, save a little money and put it into your business. I just see a lot of people that say they want it, but then, they're watching, 2-3 hours of TV a day when they could be maybe spending time really devoting and putting into their business. And I'm really glad that, we were able to get you onto the show, man, because you've given some really, really great insight on not just yourself, but hopefully folks that are listening to this. One of the main reasons why I wanted to get you on the show is because you've got such a great story. And, most people hopefully didn't fly over the head. That's why I wanted to bring it back up is, dude, you were putting in some major hours before you even made the And1 tour. And then even then, it's like you were always playing basketball and, like you said, you weren't, the party type. And, you were doing things because you love it. And it's not work to you because it's your passion and that's what makes you happy. The old saying goes, you never work a day in your life if it's something that you're passionate at, that's something that you love, so,
it's very, and I don't know if that can happen for everybody, but
right.
I think, I don't know. Sometimes I think it can go because I believe God gives us God-given gifts and passions. And I think that they're to be executed because our purpose is actually found in that. Yeah. So I do believe that, but, something to strive for at least, right?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So we're coming to the end of the show here. And one of the things I like to do is just ask, folks that we have come on here. And I'm always curious, what are your top 2 like favorite books or maybe audio books that you would recommend to our listeners that had like a really, maybe like a profound, inspiring and motivating, factor for you?
Got you. Not a huge reader. I read the Bible every day.
Cool.
So that's foundational for me. But to tack on another book outside of that, like that's a lot. But I did read Rick Warren's Purpose Driven Life. I thought that was an amazing book.
Oh, okay. I've heard of that one.
Popular selling book of all time outside of the Bible, if you actually can believe that.
Wow. I've heard of that book. I haven't got that one. I normally, it takes me about 3 hours or so to mow the lawn. So I normally try and knock out an audio book when I'm doing that. Cause I'm not a big reader either. I can't sit down and really read because that's not my style. But, how can people, like, I know you've got a great website and, you've got merchandise on there. How could people, go and check out Global Hooper and the Professor and all this cool stuff that you're doing, Grayson?
Definitely 3 ways. The first way is my YouTube channel, Professor Live, youtube.com/Professor Live. My Instagram is @TheProfessor. If you're a Facebook guy, it's @The Professor as well, Facebook. But and then also my clothing brand is Global Hooper, globalhooper.com. If you want to book me or look into anything further, you can look at my personal website, theprofessorlive.com.
Yeah, and we might get you to come to one of our events, man. This has been really great. We'd love for you to come and talk at one of our upcoming events. So, for those of you that enjoyed our podcast interview here with Grayson, aka the Professor, we may have him at an upcoming event. This has been a really awesome show, and really like what the Professor has been able to teach us. Obviously, he's the Professor, right? So really appreciate it. Check out Global Hooper. Check out Professor Live on YouTube. He's got some awesome videos on there. Amazing stuff that you're doing out there. And before we cut it short, one of the things that I wanted to say is make sure that if you like this show, make sure you leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button, leave us a comment, let us know what you liked here. Also, too, if you're watching it on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. Also, leave us a comment as well. If there's anything that you liked or you have questions on, we will respond back to you as quickly as possible. But other than that, thanks for joining us today on the show. You have a great day.